I wanted out of Carlisle with no disrespect to Carlisle. I love the people, I love the place, but I decided I was leaving by the time I was about 7 years old. I was like, I'm out of here. If I look back at the 90s, one of my biggest regrets is the amount of time I spent thinking about boys. During my mother's death, one of the things that we really loved and had in common was an intense love of cake. Never look at what I'm doing right now and think that I don't have rejection and my heart broken every single day by what people do or they don't give me.
Hello and welcome to Second Act, the podcast and community for women in midlife who refuse to fade into the background. I'm your host, Ateh Jewel, and I'll be speaking to celebrity guests about the moment they knew they were in their second act and how they're changing the game in their next one. Second Act is brought to you by Estée Lauder Advanced Night Repair, the iconic skincare collection designed to support the skin's natural nightly renewal process, harnessing over 40 years of pioneering night science research. Our guest for this week's episode is the brilliant Grace Dent. I am a super fan. She's best known for her work as a food and restaurant critic, appearing on shows like MasterChef and Great British Menu. I'm so overexcited to have her on today. Grace Dent, welcome to Second Act. Grace Dent, I am so overexcited to chat to you. Welcome to Second Act. I am a huge fan, a huge foodie, and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Honestly, it is an absolute pleasure. I'm sitting here dressed in cream on a cream chair. This is the closest I've got to emanating stealth wealth.
You're giving Grace Kelly, you're giving elegance. I love it. It is very, we both say we love cats. It's giving very kitty cat, wonderful energy.
I think that I've always wanted to be the kind of woman that can wear cream in London for large spaces of time without inevitably getting like a blob of gravy on my elbow by about 11:05. I'm already worrying how I'm going to take public transport like this. I honestly think that I look like something from Dawn of the Dead by 4 o'clock, but right now I'm majestic.
You're feeling yourself, and
yeah.
you should do. I wanted to kick off by asking you, how would you summarize your first act in just 3 words?
Accomplished, prolific, but flawed.
I love that. Walk me through that. Start with the prolific, because I love the fact you have achieved so much. Talk to me about that.
I'm using prolific because I think that that's a word I hear about myself just because of the sheer amount of different things that I did between getting to London in 96 and, say, being in my late 40s, which is when I'll say my second act began. I worked for glossy magazines. I presented television. I wrote children's books. I became a restaurant critic. I was somehow an expert in television. I don't know how that happened. And then somehow working for The Guardian and writing long form articles on actually quite serious things. So, bought property, did all the types of things that I'm really pleased that I did. Prolific. But if I'm very honest, where does prolific come from? It comes from the fact that I was from Carlisle. I wanted out of Carlisle with no disrespect to Carlisle. I love the people, I love the place, but I decided I was leaving by the time I was about 7 years old. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going as soon as possible to that London.
7?
Oh, God, absolutely.
That's so interesting. My mum grew up in Trinidad. Shout out to Trinidad. But she was like you. She used to say, I'm going to be going from a helicopter and I'll be leaving. Which makes me laugh. I think I'm like in the deep countryside of Trinidad. She's like, and she walked up to New York in '68. But you had that. You. I don't get that, but you get what my mum. You get that. I'm out of here, babes. Bye.
What's your mum called?
Daphne.
Daphne, I see you, I hear you, I understand that. I love the fact that Daphne also added an extra layer of a helicopter, because what I think that speaks to is watching television, watching movies, watching pop culture, whether it was listening to the radio and thinking that there is a life out there that is bigger and more exciting and glamorous, and I'm on it, and I love the fact that Daphne's like I'm stepping off a helicopter. I think that going back to prolific, I think that I was going to make London a success, whatever. There was never a plan B. And I think that a lot of success in London is, by and large, and this is in any field you're in, whether it's media or working for one of those big organizations like the NHS or the Metropolitan Police or wherever it is. I think that there's a lot of success in just staying power, right? Staying power and not leaving and going back to where you're from and thinking, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it because it's too expensive. It's too exhausting. It's taken my mental health. It's done any of these things. If you have staying power, it does become a lot like the Hunger Games, where by the time you get to 45, you're one of the last ones in your field standing, and there's only about 7 or 8 of you. And by that point, everybody says that you're an absolute genius and clearly know what you're doing. And you're a doyen of that field. And what you really have done is just spend 20 years working with blinkers on almost and going and going and going and going. So prolific, I think by that I also mean pivot. Almost everything that we do, especially in the modern world, you do it with a shelf life of a couple of years and you're already seeing it being replaced by AI or some shiny new software package or just some shiny new younger person that's going to come along and do it better and faster and quicker for less money with higher cheekbones. I hate those people. They just keep coming and coming.
They're born every day, babe. The waves of them are born
waves of them.
Waves of them being born every day coming for your job. But like it's and God bless you. But so you're a grafter. You're a grafter.
I am a grafter. I have always been up very, very early, getting a good 3 or 4 hours of whatever done before everybody gets up. You know, when the 5 a.m. Getting up at 5 a.m. suddenly became very en vogue, and these people in Silicon Valley were saying, "Oh, I get up at 5 a.m." And that's always been a thing that, you know, men in Silicon Valley didn't invent getting up early. I always say that if you are an early bird, if you get up at 5 a.m., you in this work culture, you get a solid 5 hours to yourself. No one's replying. No one wants to action your ideas, and nobody's on your back giving you things to do. So you do get that 5 hours of, I get to exercise. I get to think about what's going on in my day. I'm a terrible voice note leaver. And I always leave a printed message with the voice note going, do not press play until you are caffeinated at 10 a.m. and even so listen to on time 6, because it is basically a podcast that I've left. But I do tend to focus everything during that point of the day. If you can get a ton of stuff done by between 5 and 10, by the time people come in at 10, they don't action it until about 12:30. That's lunchtime. If you write a little bit back in the afternoon, that's totally flummoxed them. They've gone home by then.
I completely relate to you, but I'm the other way around. I'm a night owl.
Night owl.
I like the witching hour. I do everything but like 2 a.m. I do it the other way around.
I love that, because if you and I shared a house, we'd never see each other. We would just be like ghosts. We would be like highly prolific ghosts.
We'd be there'd be a lot of art on the walls, which we bought from our earnings because we're working so hard. But we not see. Yeah, so I completely relate to that, and I like being left by myself. And talk to me about flawed. In what way flawed?
Well, I don't think that anybody who tries to present this idea of being this high-functioning, completely successful, prolific person with a plan, who's got their finances sorted out, who's got their all of that. At the end of the day, you're just I was just a young woman turning up in London, making the same mistakes that everyone does when they're looking for love. And I spent far too much of my, if I look back at the 90s, one of my biggest regrets is the amount of time I spent thinking about boys. Because I can't even remember any of their names now. So yeah, flawed because I probably made stupid mistakes. I probably fell in love with people who weren't in the slightest bit interested in a relationship, but nevertheless I had a relationship with them for 6, 7, 8 months, and then was upset when it was over and was devastated, and had times when I felt like I couldn't work because I was so upset about who I can't even remember his name now. And
Do you love a narcissist? I feel you love a narcissist.
do you know, I think
Or a bad boy.
Look, I think the human female experience is that who doesn't love a bad boy?
They are delicious.
They're an absolute waste of time. Complete waste of time. And if we're talking from a financial perspective, one of the quickest ways of posting a large amounts of your money down the drain. When you meet somebody like that, the moment that they are somebody that you meet in a bar and they really want to move in with you quickly into your house that you're paying for being prolific, and then you realize somewhere soon down the line that they just go from one partner to another, living there.
They're sofa surfing. They want to go out with you for a lifestyle.
I think
sugar mama. I call it sugar mama.
I think that there's women all over the world right now listening to this podcast, like looking at their sofa and going, hang on, that's him. So look, I flawed. I went into the workspace as a 23-year-old woman that didn't have any experience of the workspace. So God made hundreds of mistakes, hundreds, and probably wasn't a great employee in lots of cases. And you have to live and learn. There's always going to be times when you don't fulfill a deadline and you're meant to present to somebody, or you're meant to be on your best behavior, and what you actually do is turn up hungover with a love bite and all of the things that were prolific in me in the 90s. But
it was the 90s. It was a different time, wasn't it?
It was the 90s. Nothing that happened there counts, apparently. It's fine.
Oh my God, that's so funny. If you were to give yourself a report card for your first act, what would it say?
Grace is very focused and an entertaining member of the class, and can be brilliant if she's doing something that interests her. It's when she's asked to do things that don't interest her that she sometimes is disruptive.
I completely... Have you got ADHD or neurospicy?
Do you know, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I might be one of the only people left in media who is just claiming that this is just me, right? I don't think I have. I think I do. I've definitely always had a tendency to a healthy pessimism, which I think nowadays people would say would be depression. But I just say I'm a realist. My report card would say that I show great promise, but this could all go down the pan at any time if I don't book my ideas up.
I love that though. I think it's called being a creative. I think most creative people would have the same thing.
Yeah.
If you're not interested, I'm not that bothered. I'm the same. Hyper focus when you love it. Not when you don't love it, it's over. So interesting.
Yeah.
What does the term second act mean to you?
Second act for a woman is the point when you suddenly realize that your late 40s were not the decrepit cut-off point that you imagined all the way through your teen years, your 20s and your 30s. I really wish that I'd known this. I think that when I was when you're in your 20s, you'd see these ridiculous 50-something women going, I feel better now than I did in my 20s. I'm in better shape. I've got better, financial control. I've started a business. And you hear that. And when you're 20, you're like, oh, bless you. Bless you.
Sad.
Oh, bless you. I remember when I went away to university and my mother started going on holidays by herself with her friends. And my recollection of that was, I almost said it then. I almost said, little holidays. Oh, bless her. She's 50. And look at her. She's like in Dubai with her mates having fun. And she's in Tunisia and she's having a great time. But like, oh, isn't it nice that she's left the house? And I look, when she died, I had this moment where I was sorting out her stuff in her apartment. And I opened one of those. I opened a photo album and I saw her at 50 in Dubai. And I looked and I realized how young and how beautiful she was and how gorgeous. She was like standing on a beach with her friend in like camel-colored trousers and gold. And I thought, oh my God, mother, you were young, right? 50 was young. This is how old. And you weren't on a little holiday. You were starting your second act. So to me, I realize now that, and if you're 20 listening to this, first of all, why are you listening to this? You should be in a pub getting a love bite, right? But if you are listening to this, never, ever think that your cutoff point is 44, 45. It isn't. That's rubbish. And especially now at this point in life that we're in 2025, there is no reason for it to be. We live in a world of HRT, great hair dye, amazing makeup, gymnasiums, anything you want to learn about longevity and still being fantastic in your 70s is at your disposal. You can sit, at the moment, I'm like really, I'm in my 50s now and I'm really influenced by these incredible women in their 70s who are, competing in bodybuilding competitions and running incredible businesses. Like in my industry, the food world, people will say, oh, treat people like Prue Leith and Mary Berry as if they're kind of, like old ladies. Those women are doing the most incredible filming schedules. They are working so much harder than some of the people who are 20 that are turning up on those sets. You have to be careful. You have to manage it. You have to eat well. You have to exercise. You have to exercise your brain. But 40, don't stop. You're not stopping at 40. And also, you're not going to have the luxury of stopping at 40. So I always say, when you're getting up towards that point, it's like use it or lose it. So when you hear these women who are 52, 53, and they're saying, I'm better now than I've ever been, it's because they've had those flawed years and they've got to 52, and there's such a power in that. There's such a freedom in that. I'm so glad all that happened in my 20s and my 30s. But would I want to go back? No, this is amazing. One thing I've been really playing on my mind recently is that one of the things I realized like 50s is so freeing is because I don't care that anybody can see that I'm in my 50s. I'm not trying to hide it anymore. When you're in your 30s, this thing sets in where you go, if I just wear this hat and this jacket and just the young people won't know I'm old.
I can pass amongst them.
I can pass.
I'll be 28. I don't think I'm
They'll
28.
think and it's that greetings fellow kids
Yeah.
meme, isn't it? And by the time people get into their 40s, they're like, but I want to still go to the festival and I want to do all these young things. And they're so worried if I just keep changing my vernacular, if I just keep changing my shoes, they won't see me. And then by the time you get in your 50s, I have no interest in passing as a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
If you want to treat me, if you want to misunderstand me and mistake me for an old lady who doesn't understand things, be my guest.
But you don't care. I think it's like being in the army. I respect the stripes. I've earned this. I've earned the stars, baby. 47. That's why
Respect these stripes.
I've earned them. That's how so you feel the set. Yeah, I get it.
I think that one of the greatest problems on planet Earth, though, is that a 20-year-old is never going to believe that a 50-year-old knows what they're talking about. They think, and I'm talking about, just say a 20-year-old explained Coachella to you, and you said, oh, I went to V Festival in the 90s and this thing happened, or I went to Glastonbury in the 80s and this thing happened, so I understand that. That you can just see them thinking, well, that surely was 2 centuries ago. Why is she talking? Oh, bless her trying to think that she understands. It's like, no, or about love, about money, about any of these things. Politics, it's incredible. So, another part of your second act often is just giving up. Like sometimes when I'm on a TV set, I feel like putting a sign on my dressing room door that says psychiatrist is in, right? Because everyone that comes in and they say, oh, I'm having this problem with my landlord. And I go, tell me. And it's just something that happened in the 90s. It's just, oh, my boyfriend is stopping my friends coming around to the apartment and they doesn't even want my beautician in because and I'm like, okay, seen it before.
I love this expression. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yes.
And every generation thinks they've invented sex, rock and roll, music. Yeah. Everyone thinks they've invented it.
Yeah.
My children are 14, my twin daughters, and they were talking about a mean girl or something. And I was like, well, this is how you deal with one of them, love. Yeah. And then she went, it's not the olden days. You don't understand. And I was like, I worked in glossy magazines in the noughties. Don't tell me about mean girl energy. Like, listen to mummy. But she's like, it's not the olden days. Things are different now.
I am so glad you used that example. I mean, look, that's exactly it. How could you possibly understand how women treat each other? It's a young person saying, and you're like, no. Go and read the Bronte sisters' books. The women have been treating each other like this for centuries.
Jane Austen, anything.
Yes.
I love that. When did you know that you were in your second act?
I think that there is, for me, there was a specific point when my mother was dying and I turned up for the last stretch of looking after her. I knew it was the final push. It had been going on for a long time. And I turned up and I was making these decisions which were far beyond my pay grade. I really wanted to handle the death at home. When you do a home death, it's very similar to doing a home birth, I've observed, because, someone's end of life and nurses keep coming around and saying, so do you think you want to manage it at home? And you say yes, and then more of them say it, and then you start to sign forms. And then you start thinking, hang on a minute, I've kind of committed myself to this, but I was very definite we would do that. And then they start delivering the drugs that are needed for the potential messy part of the end. And I remember this kind of a folder of incredibly intoxicating drugs arriving, and I just stuffed them behind the sofa because out of sight, out of mind. And I remember then thinking, I'm in charge of this, and no one's coming to save me. No one's coming to tell me I am the grown up now. My mother is leaving this earth. And so for second acts, for me, that was the beginning. I keep joking with my brothers around that point because you have to bring humor to this type of thing or you'll go absolutely mad. Gallows humor will get you through. And when we were planning the funeral, you're looking for somebody to come in and give you all the addresses and all the phone numbers and work out how many sandwiches we need for the buffet and deal with the family, the disputes, and tell me what I'm going to say to so-and-so. And I said to my brother, I'm the captain now. I'm the captain.
You're the grown-up now.
I love this idea of like the Dent ship and we were sailing and I was like saluting, going, this is me now. I'm doing Christmas. I'm making sure that things happen, like, because a family can splinter really easily.
You took the mantle.
And for me, that was my second act. And I sat in the house and I had, during my mother's death, one of the things that we really loved and had in common was an intense love of cake. And as she was getting iller and iller, I think I spent the only time I had any respite was I'd go down to this amazing supermarket near her house called Booth's and find her a new cake, and we would sit and eat slices and slices of Victoria plum loaf and things like that. And I remember after she'd gone, I had put on a stack of weight. I was definitely perimenopausal. I had eczema on my face. I had eczema on my hairline. I was just in a state. I had an inkling that I was going to begin a podcast called Comfort Eating, and I'd had a few meetings about it. And she died on February the 1st, and they said to me, "Oh, take as long as you want. We don't have to make any decisions." And I remember saying, "No, we'll start." I'm doing that thing that I do, prolific. Yeah, we'll start. And I remember about the first 3 or 4 that I recorded of Comfort Eating for with celebrity guests. I was so in such bad physical shape, in such bad mental shape, and that the thought of just going for a meeting at King's Cross from East London felt like I was puffing and panting and brain fog, and I thought, I have to sort this out. So that second act began there. And all the things that we have to do to get back in shape and back. But I was absolutely determined. There was a point during that where I thought, I'm just going to have to retire. I thought, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not the kind of person that's going to open up a tiny little scented candle shop in like Aberystwyth. Can't do this. It's not me. So, yeah, I came back fighting, and now I am better than I've ever been.
Thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely better than I've ever been. I hope I've not bummed people out by talking about that.
No,
because
you've been so generous in talking about your grief and a rebirth. And it's like you tag teamed. You know, your mum brought you into the world, you took her out. And it was the beginning of another phase. And that's really what so many millions of us are going through or will go through. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us.
I think that it's much more real to talk about that than to just blind you with my professional accomplishments during that time and start boring everybody with figures and facts. And because that, to me, that isn't a show of success. To me, success is getting past that point in your life and coming back better. And any woman can do that. If I can do it, anyone can.
And your work was where you healed and you took respite. Yeah. I relate to that. Estée Lauder is no stranger to the concerns of midlife and has supported women through the changes that our second act brings for nearly 80 years. As many women of my age know, your sleep patterns can dramatically be impacted by changes in your hormone levels, making a good night's sleep a thing of the past. Hello is partnering with Estée Lauder's Advanced Night Repair Regime for the Night Shift, a campaign designed to help you achieve a better night's sleep through simple rituals and expert advice. A cult beauty buy, and one of my favourites, the serum has been a fixture on beauty editors' must-have lists for decades. And now, the Advanced Night Repair collection is a targeted set of products addressing specific skin concerns, including line reduction, skin smoothing, firmness, evening skin tone, and strength, hydration, and radiance. Estée Lauder's Advanced Night Repair collection, which helps repair the look of sleep-deprived skin, is a miracle bottled.
My father was a very hard worker. I think that's one of the only things that he taught me.
You got a bad daddy too?
My father was massive shambles in so many ways. I loved it. I loved my dad. I really did. But he was, he is a book in his own right. But he was a very, very hard worker, and it took me always up early, always staying late, always chasing extra money on the side. It took me until I was about 40 to realise, was he a hard worker or was he just hiding in his work? So that's something that I've had to think about a bit. So was work healing during that time? Yes. Do I think that you should hide at work when you could probably do with an hour of therapy and a nice long walk and some protein?
Well, I was going to say, this is absolutely, I completely relate to it. I was a workaholic and I used to eat and comfort eat. Mm-hmm. And my relationship with food has completely changed because I broke my body. So I completely hiding in work and food. I get it. Darling. How has your relationship with food changed over the years?
Look, honestly, everything you've just said there.
You relate?
Totally relate. I came from a family of women who were stout, as we would have called it. Stout. She's a stout lady. I came from women who always had big arms, big bellies, and ate mainly sweet things and carbohydrate. I am from that. I always say that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how slim I am. There's a much bigger girl inside me smoking a ciggy going, I'll be back.
She's coming.
I'll be back. I'm watching you. How's my relationship with food? Gosh. I grew up in a world where those women, these amazing women, these amazing accomplished women were always on diets and then always binging. I grew up through Weight Watchers, 1,000 calorie a day.
Cambridge diet.
The Cambridge diet, the cookie diet, the water, all of that.
Yeah, toxic.
Big piles of diet magazines.
My auntie started smoking to lose weight.
Of all of that.
Did you? That was very 80s.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to smoke, but it will help me with my weight loss.
Yeah.
Like, and saying, girls, Marlboro Reds, it will help you keep slim.
I mean, look.
Toxic.
I've got this massive soft spot and fondness for ultra-processed food. When people slag ultra-processed food off, I say it's not as easy as that. We all have this huge warmth for things like dairy milk, Wotsits, all of these things. You can't just say, just don't eat them. They are delicious.
Crispy pancakes from the 80s.
Crispy pancake, Angel Delight, these things. My relationship with food right now is that you have to be realistic about what it is that you're actually putting into your body. I try to circumnavigate the ultra-processed food industry, which sounds like a lofty way. That's a very lofty way of saying, Grace, stop eating Haribo, right? And I try to, every single day, think, it's all the things that everybody said. Eat fruit and vegetables. Try and walk a lot. Try and lift some weights. I heard Elizabeth Hurley say that she went to bed every single night hungry. And I believe that because I think that in this society, as a woman, especially over 50, to try to stay at a small weight, whilst also having full access to those absolutely delicious oversized tea cakes they have in Costa Coffee at any time of the day or night. It's very, very difficult. I think that my relationship with food now is that there is always more food coming. And I have to be really realistic about calories and walking. Oh, God, it's so boring. I'm boring myself.
You know what? I completely relate to that.
Do you get it?
I get it.
I speak to a lot of women, especially the ones that are on television, and anyone who is smaller is inevitably going through long periods of intermittent fasting, which is what we call going to bed hungry.
Yes.
And counting calories and undressed letters.
It is what it is.
But I don't have any, look, I have to eat because I'm a restaurant critic and I go on MasterChef. There's always more food coming and it's inevitably a scallop.
I love that. I love that. You've had amazing guests on your podcast, Comfort Eating. Who has been your most memorable or favourite guest?
Who's my favourite guest? You're not meant to have favourite guests. Probably the one that I knew that things which were turning a corner was when Stephen Fry came to my house. Because that was very, very early on. And it was, again, very shortly after the death of my mother, when I didn't really take the podcast massively seriously. Sorry, everybody that was involved in it. But I was still at that point where, oh, God, who needs another podcast? Nobody's out in the street going, God, I wish that girl off MasterChef started a podcast. We're all dying for it. And especially one where you get celebrities in. And then he agreed to do it. And he said that he would drive himself, which I love. I love it when people say, the bigger the person, the more likely they are to just get into their own like mini metro run around town car and drive over. And I remember I was so nervous that I could only call him both of his names at the same time. I kept saying, would you like a cup of coffee, Stephen Fry?
I get that. I do that. I totally relate to that. But it would be like with a curtsy thrown in. With a curtsy. You're about to join MasterChef, which I'm so overexcited. As a judge, I'm overexcited. My children, I've got my twin girls. I'm not going to watch Paw Patrol. I'm not going to watch any of that nonsense. We all grew up watching MasterChef, and my children are obsessed with you, as I've told you. They are huge fans, and they could say Baba Ganoush before they were 3, so my job here is done.
Awesome.
Tell me what it means to you, because I'm overexcited for you.
I mean, I can't believe that I'm presenting MasterChef, because this isn't just a TV gig. This is one of the most important shows in British television on prime time, on BBC One, that changes people's lives. I've been involved with the show since 2013. I've always dreamed of presenting. I mean, it's been incredible. We've filmed one season. We filmed a season of Celebrity. I had so much fun. I can't believe they're paying me. Look, I've been watching that show since I was a little girl, and I've in all of its different forms. So to now be standing there when they all walk in, when all those contestants walk in, it is a dream come true. I'm quite emotional. Gosh, I never get emotional. Hang on,
I'm glad you're emotional.
There must be some kind of pill for that I can take. I get my tear ducts soldered when I come out of here.
I'm so, you know what? It means the world to you, and that's what emotion is. And you should be so proud. And that 7-year-old should be so proud that she made it.
What I am enjoying and fascinated by is how out in the street people keep approaching me and kind of clutching my arm and saying that they're so happy about it and telling me stories like this about watching it with their children. And it's a life-changing thing being on MasterChef. And this is why people that cook on it and compete, that's why they put in so much work. And it's going to take over your life if you enter that competition, because it is a life-changing thing. You can be a little bit well-known in London when you walk around, but MasterChef, its audience, it's very, very, it's a mixed bag of people. People come up to you everywhere all the time. So you've got no privacy ever again.
Iconic.
It doesn't matter where you go. You could be literally eating a scone in a garden centre cafe, and you can literally feel the staff running to the bathroom to change the toilet rolls because they're so terrified.
I love that for you.
And you're like, I'm just eating a scone. I'm not writing. So,
I love that
because
for
you're
you.
suddenly that recognisable. But God, look, and it means a lot, second act. Yeah, I think that by the time I was 37, there was a thing we used to laugh about in the 90s and the noughties. We used to call 37 media age, because that was how old anybody would allow themselves to admit they were.
Feeling. Do you think there are now opportunities or enough opportunities for women in midlife on TV? We can be older than 37 now, but is there enough opportunities?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Of course not. I think
Silly question.
I don't think there are enough opportunities on television, full stop, right now, because I think that television is in a really strange place where if you do a big show on BBC or ITV or Channel 4, there's a prestige that comes from it. There's a cachet. There's a respect. However, we all know deep down that if I was merely to just, bounce on a trumpet and put it on YouTube, probably we would get more figures. Like, as people, happily suggest to me each day, why don't you just start OnlyFans? And I'm like, I just don't think anybody wants to see a woman in her 50s talking about, quiche and scallops.
You'd be surprised,
You'd
babe.
be surprised. And that's what everybody says. They go, I think you'd be surprised.
Especially with your toes out.
Exactly that. So we are in a strange place, but are there enough opportunities for women? I don't think so. I think you've got to fight. I think that you have to have tenacity and stay in power and don't go away. I think that if you are good at what you do and you put in all of the work and the effort, you're going to get just the same amount of rejection and annoyance from the powers that be as you probably did in your 30s. Never look at what I'm doing right now and think that I don't have rejection and my heart broken every single day by what people do or they don't give me. All those, I still have meetings right now where I go in and they this be TV people, media people, and they promise me the moon on a stick, literally, and everything that is said in that meeting is just as good as that meeting. And by the time I've got in the lift and gone out, they're never going to say anything ever again about that TV show, that product range, whatever. And that's not because I'm in my 50s. That's because it's an incredibly fickle industry. I go into almost every meeting with regards to television or big media things and think, oh, well, I got a free bottle of water out of it. That was nice. But it was overall just an enormous waste of primer.
I thank you so much for saying that, because it's like people who say, I just eat hamburgers and I don't work out. Lies. And I bless you for saying that, because it's the truth. Rejection is a huge part of this game.
Darling. Oh, rejection is going to come every single day. Every day. It's never going to stop. You look around at these powerhouses of women right now, whether, Anna Wintour right now is experiencing a big kick up the bum. Whoever you are, whether you're Naomi Campbell, whether you're Karen Brady, any of these women on a day-to-day basis will experience things that crush you, that make you have to go home and sit in your kitchen and go, do I give up? What if I just downsize everything and take all my bills down and then, and I could go and panic. And I always say in that situation, no, take your makeup off, put your pajamas on, lock your front door, go to bed. Everything's probably going to be a lot brighter in the morning. You're just knackered. It's often a case of when you hear no, you just need to find the person that's going to say yes.
I love that. And just be steely and fight another day.
You always have to fight another day.
Yeah.
What's the alternative?
There is no other
What's
option.
the alternative?
Failure is not an option, is what I used to say to myself walking across the downs when I had no money for a taxi. Failure. If I get jumped tonight, if I have to get mugged, I can't. I have to go to that computer lab because I didn't have a computer at university. And I just walk across the dodgy downs. Failure is not an option.
Failure isn't an option.
You get that. And if you want any kind of big career, you have to have that kind of grit, right?
You have to understand that people, and it's never going to be linear. It's never going to be like a linear story arc, as it might be if they made a movie of your life starring Julia Roberts. It would kind of go, this happened and this happened and this happened and there was a bit of this and then this happened and it was fantastic. And it isn't. There's always, I might have said this, I've got a step in my kitchen that goes down into the kitchen, and it's a part, and I can remember in the last 20 years I've lived in that house, 5 separate occasions where I've just sat on that step with like a glass of wine at midday, probably smoking a cigarette after hearing some appalling news about something professional, and thought, oh, it's over. It's over. Like I you know, I've lost that contract, or that magazine's closed, or I thought I was going to get this thing and it was going to the next 4 months of work, and then now they've replaced me with so-and-so and they haven't even told me they've replaced me. Silent no's instead of proper no's, all of these things. And I always think, and then I've went upstairs and had a hot chocolate and had a little cry, took my makeup off, put some moisturiser on.
But beauty does make everything better,
got
Grace.
into bed.
Beauty makes everything better.
Yeah. And you
I
wake
love
up in the morning and you're like,
Let's go again.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do you know sometimes the more they knock you down, the more resilient you become, because
I'll show you.
there's some, during those moments, sit down sometimes if you're having a really bad time like that and literally get a piece of paper and write down anyone that would help you.
That's really good.
Because sometimes I'll go, that person who I work with on that podcast is amazing. If I was to just be vulnerable and say, I don't know what I'm doing for the next few months, they will breathe it out there and they will tell people, and before you know it, work will come in. Sometimes it's just thinking, who are these people? And you're in a relationship, you've got nowhere to live. Who will help me?
And it's more people than you think.
Yeah, who will help me? And sometimes we all have to be kind of a bit feral, like scrabbling around in the dirt with nowhere to live and no money in our bank account, and to kind of go to the next act.
I love that. Were you excited to turn 50? And what did your 40s mean to you?
I think excited is a very big word. I think that, after I'd stopped screaming in a mirror like a fairy tale stepmother, was I excited to turn 50? No, I wasn't. I mean, if I could have... No, I wasn't ready to accept it, I think.
The number? It's a number.
Number.
It's half a century. When you say it like that, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I started thinking, no. Was I excited? I wasn't. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't have any celebrations. I was in the middle of a book tour. I woke up in a bed in Edinburgh and opened some birthday cards and thought, okay, well, that's a big number on the front of the card. It was when I got to 51, I do celebrate now. Celebrate every day.
You appreciate it.
Every single day.
Your health,
Look, Yeah.
It's the health thing for me.
Getting old is a privilege. It's a privilege. Like, look back and think of the people that you know who have died along the way, whether they've, sorry, I'm being dour again, but if I look back, people who died swiftly of cancer 2 weeks after saying, God, Grace, not feeling too well. People that couldn't take it and ended their lives that I know. And I'm like, what? Why did you do that? Look, it would... yeah, people that were, look, I'm sorry, I'm just naming deaths here,
No,
but
but
that's it. To me, it's like...
You do turn a corner away, you're like, it's a privilege to be at the party still.
Exactly.
What are you doing differently now in your second act compared to your first act?
Oh, God. I mean, I've definitely... I've got my finances completely in order.
That's interesting. Talk to me about financial literacy, because that's something, especially women of our generation, were taught not to be. It wasn't something that was a big deal.
I mean, look, I come from a family where my mother was completely not in charge of finances. She didn't even know how to get money out of an ATM. Couldn't put petrol in a car. God bless her, but why? She was a very strident woman. I don't think that I've ever been bad with money. I think that when I was growing up, I did that thing that apparently 1 in 5 of us do, where you set your first bank account up, and it's a current account, and you maybe get it in your first week of uni or when you get your Saturday job, and then you put your wages into it.
What was your first paycheck from?
My first paycheck was from W.H. Smith's.
Ooh.
Which I remember working all day selling filofaxes and...
Oh, I love to filofax.
I know, selling them, and then at the end of and then I remember getting the paycheck. It was in the 80s, and it was about £12, and thinking, that's just not a lot of money.
Did you?
It wasn't a lot of money then. But putting it into that current account, which I think that is how we learn to do it. And then never being much more financially literate than that for years. I would get money and I would put it into a current account. And I've always been, my family didn't have any money. Like, they didn't have any money. So I've never been one of those people that gets a chunk of money from a job and thinks, I'm going to buy me a sports car. Never been like that. Not that, I mean, some people that working class backgrounds, they love that type of thing, but me, never. Always looking for a bargain, always looking to keep my money in the bank account. We also had a very healthy respect of the tax man.
Can I just say, that is really interesting, because people don't think about, I wasn't brought up to think about the tax man. People, where did that come from?
My dad was awful with tax. It was as if my father he set up a little business, and he was just always on the run from the VAT man and the tax man. So, my attitude to money, though, was always very, to everything that I earned, this was during the 90s and in the noughties, was to scoop it all up, stick it in one account, and then pay my tax out of it, and eke out what I had left. And I think I spent all the way through that first act going, that anything else was beyond me. So even to change bank accounts was beyond me. To think about putting things in long-term accounts, putting them in fixed term, brilliant interest accounts, putting them in ISAs, getting an ISA. And the idea of that being a wrapper around the money, didn't do it. All of these things, stocks and shares, it's beyond me. A little girl from Carlisle can't do any of that.
We weren't taught to do that.
It was hard to do it, especially because in the days before the internet and apps, we were taught that the only people that could do that were incredibly educated, erudite people that worked in the city, or we didn't
penises.
know. I mean, I'm grasping around for a thing that would make what all these people had in common.
Yes, it was how it was.
So I in my second act, I with a bit of nagging from a few people who actually did have penises, they basically said to me, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" A few different people said when I'd got like huge jobs that had come in, and they knew that I was depositing sums of money, 6-figure sums of money, and they're like, "What are you doing with it?" And I'd be like, "Just putting it in," and it would be a bank account that I had from I was a little girl, and this is where I started to open accounts like with Zopa. I started opening these different accounts and putting money into things that were going to just work for me. So financial literacy is that you're going to have to sit in the house. You're going to have to go online. You're going to have to teach yourself. You're going to have to educate yourself. But it's a real buzz once you start to get it online. When you start to get it together.
I love that. And you're talking to me.
Look, I love Zopa especially because to me, they sum up a part of my life where I started kind of dabbling in looking after my money and being as daring as, say, and this is with the bank accounts that came before Biscuit, being as daring as to put money into high interest accounts and look and think, hang on a minute, it's making money. This is the thing I heard of when I was a child.
This is what the rich people do.
This is what people with money do. When Zopa spoke to me about Biscuit, this is their first current account. And I just thought, this is such an interesting way of making money work for you. I think that the way that we deal with our current account is often very, it can be complex to try and make that money work for you. There was an amazing interest rate on the card. And I thought, I get what these people are doing. I get it. And they also came to me and said, we're calling it Biscuit. And I loved that. I loved the simplicity of it. I loved the fact that it's something sweet and delicious. And they wanted to film this beautiful advert where we baked a biscuit version of this debit card. And I was just like, I'm in. I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm all in.
I love that. And it's just making it not scary. It's delicious. And I think financial literacy and security should be delicious, right?
Do you know, I think that, I don't drink now. I am completely teetotal for 4 years. I'm one of the, if you're talking about second acts, I went out one night and, God, I won't name him. He's somebody quite famous. And he was talking to me about money. And he said something, he talked to me about some financial things that I could do with money. And because I was completely sober, I listened. And instead of going, yeah, and then getting up in the morning with like a headache, I got up the next day and started to research. And I made some financial decisions even in that morning, which will change the rest of my life. Right? And some of them did involve Zopa accounts. So this is why I've kind of got a bit of a love for them. And I just think that it should feel like that. It should feel empowering and delicious and lovely and simple, and not just the big things. Whether it's using, a debit card that has, cashback or does amazing. It's that. Be sensible, but also be amazing.
I love that. It sounds like a great thing. Yeah, money is power.
I think that women are embarrassed often to say that money is important. We've been, because I make people laugh when I say that. I go, oh, I love money. And they just look utterly amazed, like I said it. But I go, I'm from this background where we didn't have any.
Yeah, but also British people don't talk about money when it's the most important thing.
Every time somebody asks me to do a job and I scan the email and there's money, I go, I'm translating that in my head into comfortableness and being able to look after my family and security and all of the great things. So, and yeah.
I love that. What's been your biggest learning since starting your second act?
Right. I think that, oh God, people are going to hate me for this. What I've realized now is that everything I'm doing today is preparation to be able to have a really good 80s and 90s. God willing. Nobody wants to do, no woman listening to this is going, oh my God, I really want to go and do some squats. No one is saying that. But the way I look at it now is the squats that I do now is the ability to get out of a car when I'm 80. And the arm curl I do now is the ability to get something off a shelf when I'm 80. Because, I think that when we go into our second act, we think, oh, I haven't got that long. I haven't got that long. You might have long. You might have another 40 years. So everything I do now is to make sure that I want to be one of those women skipping onto a cruise ship at 90, and being able to skip on and skip off and be able to get off at the little market and go and see things. And I don't want to have a really, really kind of sad and small second act. I want it to be, I aim to grow old disgracefully.
I love that. I completely am with you. I will be twerking next to you in our 80s.
100%.
If you could go back in time, give yourself some advice, and our listeners, your younger self from the second act, back in your first act, what would you say to yourself? What would you say to 90s Grace?
90s Grace. Stop waiting for a man to come along and make it all make sense.
Say it a bit louder for the people in the back who are listening.
Stop it. Don't ever put a man's name on any paperwork.
That's a big one.
Ever.
Yeah.
Don't put a man's name on any financial paperwork because you think he feels emasculated. Don't live your life waiting for somebody to make it all better. Ever.
We all were spoon-fed that Disney prince coming on a horse to rescue you, and that's really hard to kill that.
We're sitting here in a part of London that I worked in 1996, 97, 98, and I can't get too specific because the boyfriend will know exactly who he is. But there was a guy, I worked for a magazine, and I went out with a guy from another magazine, and he dumped me really brutally, so brutally. I can still feel it. And I remember like the months afterwards, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't work. And I did work, but just very badly. And I look back now and I think I nearly left London because of that. I can't remember anything about him. If you said to me, what was his second name? Like, I thought of his second name there, and I thought his name came to mind, and I went, no, the Grace, that's one of One Direction.
I love that.
That's not his name. That's not his name.
You could have blown up your life for a boy you can't remember his last name.
So there you go.
Don't do it.
There you go. If you're listening to this, there you go.
That's so beautiful.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah. Don't cry tears over a boy you won't even remember in 20 years. It's not worth it.
Oh, God, I could talk about that all day.
I love that, though.
I remember that boy looking at my writing and going, I can't really see it going anywhere.
Oh, I'm so angry for you. It was jealousy, babe.
Yeah, but...
You were a unicorn. And he was a little donkey man, and he was jealous of you. That was what was happening. I love donkeys, but unicorn and donkeys are two different things. You know what I mean?
I love donkeys. I don't want to be married to one.
Yeah, exactly.
Although saying that, I think in a lot of cases you would actually have more use of being married just to a donkey. You could just go out and give it a sack of carrots every day. You don't have to put it on a mortgage.
Yes. Oh, I love that for you. God bless you. It's time for your second act, where we read emails and voice notes sent in by you, my wonderful listeners. This one is from Alexandra. Hi Ateh, I'm 45 and utterly sick of cooking. As my partner works long hours, I do the majority of all the cooking, and every week I feel like I'm scraping the barrel trying to find new recipes that my kids will like. When I was in my 30s before I had kids, I used to love cooking. Now it just feels like a chore. How can I turn this around? Grace, what do we have to say to Alexandra?
Alexandra, I don't think that you need to change your recipes around. I think you need to change your guilt around about the fact that you're not serving up these incredible varied meals every single night. As a Generation X woman, I think that I had the same 3 meals every night from 1973 to 1985.
It's a Wednesday!
There was 3 meals.
Pie on a Wednesday!
Absolutely. There was 3 beige things on offer. And I ended up being a restaurant critic and on MasterChef, so it didn't harm me. I think what you're experiencing here is feeling unappreciated, feeling locked in, feeling tied down. There is absolutely no shame on a Sunday from making a couple of big batch things and saying, this is what is on offer. It's my way or the highway. I don't think that, I mean, I could say to you, well, what you need to do is get some purple sweet potatoes and bake them and then have them with a lovely piece of halibut, which is really, it's very cost effective. Children are just going to look at that and say, can we not just have the thing that you cooked before? I actually like the penny pasta with a tin of tomatoes chucked in. I think give yourself a break and understand that. I think that if you're getting dinner down on a table and everybody's sitting around at the same time and having just the slightest chat about what happened at school, or even everyone saying nothing, everyone's just sulking because they have to be there, you're still winning.
I love that. Yeah, it's so true. Just like, it doesn't have to have pomegranate on it for you to be valid.
Everybody stop putting pomegranate on things. That's Yotam Ottolenghi. That's his fault.
Yeah, pomegranate.
Or like Paddy pomegranate pips, as I call him, to his face.
Love that. Oh my, no, we love Ottolenghi. My girls used to go to Ateh Jewel.
Sorry, Yotam. You know I love you.
Yeah.
I do love him. I love him. He's great.
Yeah.
But that's it. The whole thing of bang, 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 bang. Like pomegranate. Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. Where's the pomegranate and the mint? Where's the reduction, Mummy? It's it's spaghetti bolognese, and that's okay.
Look, there's a lot of joy in a potato waffle, beans and cheese with a fried egg on the top.
Oh. Yes, we give you permission, Alexandra. Alexandra, we go with love. Grace, thank you. This has been the most healing, lovely. I'm low-key obsessed with you, but now I'm high-key obsessed with you.
I'm so sorry for delivering such realness.
I bless you for the realness, and thank you for joining us on Second Act. Grace Dent, you are fabulous, and I cannot wait to watch you on MasterChef. The judge. Thank you. This episode was brought to you by Estée Lauder's Advanced Night Repair. Wind down with a free Beauty Sleep Glow facial at your nearest Estée Lauder counter. Book online or in-store now. Thanks so much for listening. If you've got a dilemma or question you need answering, please email me at secondactpod@hellomagazine.com. Don't forget to rate us if you enjoyed the show, and you can find all the best Second Act wisdom from our experts via the Hello Magazine website. I'll see you next week. Bye!